Hey, folks, just a friendly reminder that all shows on the Madness Comic Network are produced by their individual hosts and in no way reflect the opinions of the network as a whole.
Flip City Magazine is just really pulling out all the stops, man. Your guys' production value of this magazine has gone insane. I mean, look at that. I mean, I remember when you guys, it was black and white. Even when it was black and white, I thought your quality was great. But damn, they have just, I mean, they just really stepping it up a notch. Look at this. James Corbett, boys. James Corbett.
Genuinely cutting, but also funny, and obviously just chaotic and very fun.
I love Flip City. It has brought new types of badassery and integrity to the print medium.
The future. The final frontier. It has never been so uncertain as now. AI, VR, haptic wear, nanotechnology, mass destruction with a remote click. Now we are finally seeing the true potential and dangers of an ever-connected and overly policed hyper-technological world. Have we finally become the architect of our own demise? Is there still hope? Welcome to the future. Welcome to Punk Droid.
Everybody, Dirk Manning here, the writer and creator of numerous comic books and graphic novels, including Nightmare World, Tales of Mystery, Brave but Not Dead, all kinds of stuff. And I am super excited for you because you are getting to watch right now, right this moment, out of all the things we're going to be doing, you're getting to enjoy and revel in the Madness Comic Network. And that is awesome. Thank you for being here.
Hello.
Hi.
How are you today, Scott?
Thanks for having me.
Yes, just so I don't mess it up, what is the proper way to pronounce your full name? And give me some...
Peterstad. It's Norwegian, part Norwegian, part German. It means little village.
That is amazing. There's so many jokes in that I won't go there. But it is a great time. Yes. Now, why don't you have a beard, especially having the name Bearderstad?
No, sorry. I tried that once in college. I look like Fred Flintstone. It didn't take.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Now, I invited you here because you seem to have something in common with Pops. You've had your own indie comic title, and you've been doing comics for years. Can you tell me what got you interested in art and what was your muse? I mean, what got you excited about becoming part of this world of ongoing struggle, as some might say?
Oh, well, comic books. Wow. I was first introduced to the comic books through the X-Men and the Microdots and through my local comic shop, Joe Sarno's Comic Kingdom, long since passed. And but I first went to my first Comic-Con in 1979, and it was there that I met John Byrne and Marshall Rogers, and I was like, wait. So people do comic books? Because I always thought it was like little pink trolls or fairies used to do comics. And no, people write them, and they ink them, and they pencil them, and they color them, and they edit them, and they letter them. So all these people are involved in just producing a single comic book. And I was like, wow, I really want to get into that. And over the years, like I said, hanging out with Paul Fricke, my longtime cohort from high school, we developed the Troll Lords, and that's the nuts and bolts of the beginning of why I'm into comics.
Okay, so now you're mentioning some pretty big names for the time, like John Byrne. Did you hang out with him, or did you work under him, or?
It was funny because
I have my own John Byrne story that I would love.
He used to have a Comic-Con at the Pitt Congress every month, and of course he used to live I believe in Evanston at the time, and would be there every month. And so Paul Fricke and I would go there every month, and we'd be first in line or second in line to get a pencil sketch, and those were like $10. And it's like, wow. But that was like hardcore. And, of course, so after about, 20 or 30 of these, it's like, yeah, you get to know him. He would talk about his trials working on the X-Men, and of course went over to Captain America and then Fantastic Four. And then we were fanboys. We were plugged in. You got us sold. No matter what you did. So it was always like every month it was like, oh, what's John Byrne going to do with the X-Men this month, kind of thing. And he would show us the pencils and the process. And that, like I said, there again, that was my way of getting into comics. So I owe a lot of it to John Byrne. Then later, when we got into publishing, I owe a lot of that to Dave Sim, the creator of Cerebus. So we'll get into that later if you got a question about that. Okay, you froze up on me. Hello. I don't know. Oh,
I think we lost Charles.
Oh no. Well, should I go on more and more about Comic-Cons growing up?
Yeah.
Okay. Interrupt me with Charles.
Actually, I was going to say, if you want to go back and go ahead and talk about that. Cerberus stuff.
Like I said, it was the late 70s, early 80s, And it was an exciting time because you got to go and meet Marshall Rogers and Ernie Chan and Mike Grell and Bill Sienkiewicz and Mike Vosberg and Brent Anderson and Brian Boland. These guys would come to Comic-Cons and you would wait in line and get a sketch from them and be delighted and get all the autographs at the time were for free. And it was just a wonderful time about growing up in Chicago. And like I said, it was just the hub of, and of course, First Comics then came along, and then you got to meet guys like Howard Chaykin and Timothy
Barron. Yes.
Yeah. And Doug Rice, and Hillary Barda. I'm just trying to think of all the, like Mike Grell would be the Star Slayer guy. I'm trying to think. Joe Staten would come in every month as well. So there again, it was, you got to meet these guys. So I kind of know what I'm doing at Comic-Con. I know what it's like to be on the other side of the table, meaning I know what it's like to be a fan, and I know what it's like to grow up and be impressed by somebody's art.
See, that's where I go to the Comic-Cons and I go as press because I interview people. I get some, I get some spots for the network. Stuff like that. I go there to work, right?
Right.
But I get, it's like the last 20 minutes of the day, I want to run around and get a chance to talk to people, So, I mean, I don't get a lot of time to just BS outside of the interview,
right.
But people like, when you get a chance to meet people like Jim Shooter, you want to hang out for a few minutes after the official work is done and just BS with the guy, right?
Right.
Good dude, man. So much fun hanging out with these people, man. I didn't do this my whole life. I came into this like 5 years ago.
Oh.
I just had a little Facebook group that we showed off what we picked up this week type stuff. And a lot of my friends were actually creators. We had Brian Polito and that other dude, Greg somebody, I don't know. Anyway, we had some really cool people in the group early, and then COVID shut down all the cons in 2020.
Yeah, it did.
And we turned the group into a promotion and networking group. All this built out of that.
Yeah.
Okay. It wasn't ever planned, nothing. We just became a promoter of independent comic book creators because they didn't have nowhere else to sell their stuff. The cons were done. There was none that summer. So I started doing an online con called CronCon. And we did it once a month. And we do it all day Saturday, all day Sunday. One creator after another would come out and show what they're doing. That's how I got started in this. Now it's 40 weekly show. Drive me nuts, that type stuff. But, like I said, we didn't plan it. It just kept snowballing downhill.
Well, you don't. I don't think you plan any. I mean, as much as you like to think you plan things, life has a tendency of going, "Hey, we're not going to do that. We're going to do something else." I mean, and I'm going back in the days where there was no internet, and like I said, all you had was Comic-Cons, and if you had to break into the business, you pretty much had fanzines at the time. That's how guys like Michael Coluta and Barry Windsor Smith and Bernie Wrightson would do illustrations for backups for magazines, and that's how they developed their craft. And along comes, the 70s and the 80s when comics are just getting started to get popular. I mean, X-Men is starting to take its notice in the real world. I mean, you still have the comic book fan base, but like I said, it was books like Cerebus and ElfQuest that started doing independents, and this was long before Image, long before Dark Horse or First Comics.
I was a Freak
these
Brothers
guys
guy.
pioneered it, and Paul Freak and I, coming out of high school, we're like, hey, we want to do comics. We don't know how to do comics. So him and I developed the Troll Lords, and we thought, you know what? We'll just do a couple of pages and show it off to different people. And of course,
you'll have to excuse my Zoom.
Okay, no problem.
For the moment, somebody just pulled in the driveway, and the dogs have a tendency to greet them vocally, whoever it is.
Right.
So
I just didn't know. This is my house.
I'm gonna mute myself, and you just go ahead and keep talking. Right?
Okay. So anyhow, like I said, back in the day, if you wanted to do comics, and like I said, so we developed our skills. So I would pencil some stuff, and Paul would ink and letter it, and we show our samples to other artists at these shows. And like I said, this was a time when, like I said, there's no internet, there's no way you could show your portfolio to the big companies. But we showed it to guys like Howard Chaykin and Vosberg, and like I said, and I remember Howard Chaykin was like brutal. I mean, but good. I mean, that's the thing about Howard Chaykin. I mean, he'll tell you what it's like, and he would look at your stuff and go, "Oh, wow, this is good. This is bad. Work on this. Where'd you learn how to draw feet like this? Where'd you learn how to draw a shoe that fits a foot like that?" I'm just brutal stuff when you're a kid of 17 or 18 years old. You're like, I thought my stuff was great. It's not. It's not up to speed, guys. So like I said, we would show these to different artists to get different feels, and then Paul and I developed the Troll Lords, and we're like, well, let's just do some sample pages and show this to different publishers and stuff like that. And of course, we showed it to Jim Shooter, who at the time was Marvel Comics big Purdue guy, and he immediately looked at it and went, "Where's the capes? Where's the superpowers and stuff like that?" And it's like, well, this is not what we wanted to do. I mean, right. There's something to be said at the time when Batman was beating up the Joker, and a month later he was beating up the Joker, and a month later, it was just the same old. And Paul and I wanted to do different stories about different characters. And like I said, if you weren't superheroes and you didn't have capes on, no way were you were gonna get your foot in the door in this industry. So
for me it was weird because I came in, I was a mythology nerd. I saw Thor on the cover of a comic. I became a Thor fan, but I'm also me, right? I'm this guy, okay? The Freak Brothers,
right? Yeah,
that was my indie. That was my entrance to independent and underground comics. Okay, I came in through that door.
Okay.
It was like that was where my independent love came from. Was, oh my God, these guys are way outside the comic authority. You know what I mean? I was like, I love it. Yeah, because that's me outside the box, right? That's what I want to be. What's up, kid? What's happening? And subjective perspective collective and Gray Wolf got people popping up in the chat, and I think Charles is back. But see, this is kind of what I do when things fall apart. I jump in. I take
I had serious technical difficulties. The stupid Surface Pro decided to update its software, and it slowed things and churned things down and said, "Hey, let's do virus checking." I'm like, what? We're supposed to do Pop Show. So I went to my handy portable Mac. What a pain in the nostril.
All right. So I have queued up Scott's page, his
nice.
website. So when you guys want to talk about that, just let me know. I'll pull it up. All right?
Yeah, pull it up, please.
Woohoo!
Hi, Scott.
Hey, he was talking about Cerberus, and he was talking about entering into indie comics, and we covered all that. So,
which was good stuff. Yeah. I was going to talk to you about a quick John Byrne story where I met him, and we became buddies first at Dragon Con of all places, and I was next to him, and this big heavy guy came up to him and said, "John Byrne, you expletive." And then John just sat up and said, "So, good fan, why do I expletive?" And then he explained, right, it was hysterical. And he was smiling the whole time, you know, and I'm next to him. I looked to him and he just nods. He's like, "Watch this." And he explained to the man that he just drew what he was told to draw. And so the story was not his, and he did not write it. He said, I would take issue with the writer, or more importantly, take issue with Marvel, because they're the ones who edited it. And the guy was just dumbfounded. And he walked away. Then he walked back and he announced, "I want to officially apologize in public." And John stood up and turned to him and said, "I officially, publicly will humbly accept your apology."
Yeah.
So we started talking, and then John Byrne handed me a disc, a copy, because I was newer to the comics. And he said, "These are my fonts. I made a custom set of fonts, and there's something about you, Charles, and I've heard about you and see how you remind me of me in some ways. Of course, that's a fun thing. And some of my comic books, I actually used John Byrne's font for years, which was amazing in my opinion. And then a couple of years later, when I was doing Clingman, I went to a horror show, and he did a book called Whipping Boy, a novel. And we were talking, and it turns out we both had relatives who were on the great train wreck of 1918, the Hammond Carnival train wreck. And apparently his grandfather did not survive, but he had a family and whatnot. And my distant relatives survived. So we kind of had that Carney connection or circus connection also, which was kind of interesting. So that's my John Byrne story. So what? Yeah, it's some strange stuff. So
he's quite a character, and whether you like him or you hate him, you got to admit he is definitely a major influence. I mean, there wouldn't be a Jim Lee, there wouldn't be a Rob Liefeld, there wouldn't be a Todd McFarlane if it wasn't for John Byrne, guys. So
really, expound on that, please.
Oh, well, like I said, he was the guy who popularized. I mean, and then again, it's not just him. I mean, he didn't create fire. He was just going with what was popular, but he was expanding on it, giving more dimension to these characters, much like Neil Adams did with his forced perspective on anatomy. And so everybody contributes their own way. I mean, obviously you have Stan Lee and Jack Kirby and Steve Ditko, who are the pioneers of comics, superhero comics. So I guess, and like I said, so if it wasn't for them, there would be no Barry Windsor Smith or John Byrne, and it was so it's kind of like a pyramid effect kind of thing. But like I said, that's my guy. That was the guy I was growing up with, and like I said, like him or hate him, that's the guy I would have put in my corner.
Yeah, he's a major influence. Now, speaking of comics, what were some of your favorite comics and why? Like for myself, I was more of a DC guy, and I can explain that later. But I constantly get made fun of, except by the other DC guys. And there's some people asking about Les. Les just has a very, very, very busy work schedule, so he's really cranking things out. So he said, "Hey, Charles, I need to bow out for deadlines," so that's why he's not here today. But not that has to do with anything. So what were your? So you talked about going to the monthly comic show, but what was the thing that just gravitated you towards comics? Some of your favorites, and Did you ever meet some of your heroes? And were you disappointed, or were you, or were they a stepping stone of something greater?
Over the years, I think I met all of my heroes. I mean, I met Stan Lee, I met Jack Kirby. Like I said, growing up, it was the X-Men, and it was the Byrne X-Men, and it was the Micronauts, which was Michael Golden, and another great artist. Then of course Marshall Rogers did Batman. I mean, as much as it was the characters and the comics, it was the art for me. I mean, Mike Grell. Even though you put Mike Grell and Bill Sienkiewicz and Brent Anderson in a blender, and you get Neil Adams. I mean, that was the sign that everybody was drawing it that kind of style and that kind of pace. So, like I said, it was always the art that influenced me. And then ElfQuest came out with Wendy Pini, and Dave Sim came out with Cerebus, and I was hooked. I was like, oh wow, this isn't superheroes. This is funny stuff, and then it's serious stuff. I mean, what Dave did for 300 issues is amazing, and that was always something that I think it was around issue 20 or 21 that he said, I'm going to do 300 issues of Cerebus. And you're like, yeah, right. And he did it. I mean, God bless him. I mean, take it or leave it. I mean, some of the storylines are kind of weak, but he did 300 issues. He set out to do it. He got his goal. And like I said, he's still, he's not doing Cerebus anymore, but he's still out and about. I haven't seen him at shows lately, but like I said, every once in a while he'll produce a magazine that I'll flip through, and hey, Dave Sim is still doing stuff. So, like I said, it's all these people that I grew up idolizing that are still, honing their craft and still doing it.
It's something you never stop,
Yeah.
Speaking of
I don't want to break Alex Ross right in the picture for you, but he's one of these guys that loves the material, loves the craft. I mean, he's a phenomenal artist. And don't get me wrong, this guy's the thing about Alex Ross is he doesn't see, you never see him sweat, and he sweats. I mean, he works at his craft, and he's one of these guys that you would sit there like, hey, he's been doing it for 20 plus years. He's going to start phoning it in. He's not, man. He's still getting better. And that's the scary thing about it, is that he's still working and he's still honing his craft after all these years. So, like I said, my hat's off to guys like him. Like I said, Byrne, who's still occasionally noodling stuff around. Mike Grell is still out there. Bill Sienkiewicz. All these guys were factors in me growing up in the comics and what I'm producing nowadays.
That is incredible.
Yeah.
What have been now as you've got in? So how did you enter it? Did you just do an independent book and say, "Here I am"?
Well, like I said, we were showing our stuff to different editors at the time, and of course, Jim Shooter shot us down like, "Oh, you're not super. You're not going to get into business," and we were feeling pretty deflated by that. We're like, "Wow, man, we don't have a shot at getting in this industry." And we walked over to Dave Sim, and there's Dave, and he's looking at it, and he's like, "Hey, why don't you publish it yourself?" We're like, "Yeah, right. Yeah, we're going to go do that." But it was at a time when Bud Plant was developing his distribution system. And again, we didn't know a thing about any of this stuff, so we figured, we'll do it. We'll do what Dave says. How hard can it be? And so Paul and I decided, let's do the Troll Lords, and we'll do 3 issues, and that way we'll have something to show publishers. So this was always going to be just something, a showcase for something else. And at the time, there was, I want to say, at least 12 to 15 major distributors. There was Glenwood, Diamond, Capital, Hawaii Comics, Friendly Franks. I mean, the list was on and on. There was a list of nothing but distributors. And so you had it, and you couldn't single one out. You had to sell one, you had to sell them all. I'm like, okay. So Paul, I tell you what, we'll do Troll Lords. And it was at a time when, you know, we were taking money, we were taking loans, we were taking funds, and if we sold 3,000 copies, we would break even. I mean, that was like, wow, man. And
That's
like,
the magic
hey,
number.
3,000 copies, something
Yeah.
major. 3,000 copies back then was just breaking even. So
it was, for me, it was making a profit. But
all right, okay. So now, so we rolled our dice. We shot the works. So we'll do 3 issues, and the first issue sold 10,000.
wow.
And the second issue sold 40,000. And the third issue sold 45,000. And we were doing comics. Now, don't get us wrong. We got caught up in what was known as the black and white glut, which was the Teenage Ninja Mutant Turtles, the Black Belt, Adolescent Hamsters, Fish Police. All these things were coming out, and people were buying them just to buy them. They weren't reading them. They were just buying them just for the sake of collecting them and to cash in on them. Because, hey, you found out that Teenage Ninja Mutant Turtles #1 was selling for $80. Wow, I'm going to go buy 10 of them. And like I said, a lot of those things were collectors, and it was more speculation, and nobody was reading these books. But we got caught up in it. And I can't say that it was a bad thing. It just so happened that while we were hitting, our 7th or 8th issue, we were still producing 25,000. We're like, our numbers were going down, but our talent was going up. I mean, our storytelling was getting better, and yet our numbers were going up. We could figure it out for the life of us. And of course, in hindsight, that's what happened. It was the black and white glut. And so we did 15 issues. We also did a color version and a reprint book. And then it takes its toll, guys. I mean, we were doing an issue every month and a half, and and it was taking our toll. And I wasn't the business guy. Paul Fricke was extremely helpful in doing all the billing and stuff like that. we had to hire out our editor to help us with that too, Brian Augustin at the time, and then Len Suzuki. So it was kind of like a hodgepodge of things, but that's the way things were working back then. And after the 15 issue, Paul and Scott said, you know what? We're tired. We don't want to do the business stuff, because we were still doing shows. We're still doing conventions to promote the book. And so, like I said, it was at a time where we don't want to do it anymore. And other companies, other independent companies like First Comics, Now Comics, and Comico were coming around, and they were starting to take notice. Of course, they had more licensing with Terminator and Robotech, and I'm trying to think what other Sable was popular with First Comics, and of course Dark Horse had Aliens, and so Comico made a pitch to us and said, "Hey, we'll put you in color, and we'll take care of all the business stuff. All you have to do is produce the work." And we're
my God.
Wow, where has this been? Okay, so let's do that. And of course, Comico at the time had Rocketeer and Grendel and Mage and Maze Agency. I mean, all this talent and all these positive and growing books. The thing is, Comico had a balloon payment with the printer, and after 4 issues, they went belly up. So here's Scott Paul with, "Hey, I don't want to do publishing anymore." And he's like, "I don't want to do it either." And he's like, and Paul wanted to do different projects with different companies. He was working with Topps Comics, which was a division from the Topps Baseball card company, and he of course was working with First Comics, and so he was spread out enough. So getting him to do the business end of it just wasn't going to happen again. So lo and behold, Apple Comics came around and said the same thing. Hey, we'll produce your books. We'll take care of the business end of it. All you guys got to do is do the material. I'm like, okay, all right. Well, finding out doing that meant we weren't getting the profits anymore.
Oh no!
So we did 6 issues with them. We fulfilled our end of the contract, which is something you'll learn about Scott Bieterstadt and Paul Fricke, is that we're really good artists. We are horrible businessmen, and
Great.
like I said,
Really?
different companies will take advantage of it. Yeah. So we did 6 issues with Apple, and then we did a couple issues with Caliber and a few issues here and there. I went through a divorce, and it came to a point in time when I was feeling pretty low in my life, and Dave Sims like, hey, why don't you do Troll Lords again? And I'm like, yeah, right, okay. And he goes, but do it about stories that you know about. Do your divorce. Talk about your divorce. So I'm like, okay, well, boy, I really don't want to drag my babies. I mean, these are the Trollers. These are my characters through that mud.
Yeah.
Hey, tell you what, let's do a spin-off book. And that's what I'm doing right now. After all this time, after all these years, the Troll Lords are going to see print again in a little book I call Death, My Life and Love. And hopefully within a year, we'll see print again. So,
it's going to be faster than that. One thing that I've done is to help Scott is working on his Kickstarter page. And he has his amazing website. Let me just try to pull that up in a minute. SCOTTY, right? Wait, how do you spell it?
Scott, you got it up there. It's Scott Bieterstadt, ScottyB.site.
ScottyB.site. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So now, boom, let's do that. Oh yeah, there we go.
That's it.
So
right?
That's a great looking site. Now, let's click on the first thing about.
Oh, okay. Now, again, I don't do business stuff, so somebody else did this for me. But yeah, right.
Wow. Now let's scroll down just to see what that, if there's anything more on that page. Oh, here's a question for you, Scott. How do you feel about some of the Vinegar Syndrome comics that they've done, Zombie and Maniac? Are you familiar with those?
Okay, I do a lot of zombie stuff. If you'll see me at a Comic-Con, I will draw you as a zombie, or I'll take your favorite character, Beauty and the Beast or Little Mermaid, and I will draw them as zombies. So I'm very familiar. I am the Clown Princess Zombie. Arthur Sudam, you're the king of zombie. I'm the Clown Prince of zombies. So
Charles, quit pushing buttons. I got this for you, bro.
Yeah, thank you.
But I'm not familiar with the zombie comic book that Vinegar is putting out. So I will go to my local comic book shop. Hey, it's Wednesday this afternoon, and I will check it out.
Yeah. Here, click on the next one. Or click on some of those images.
Oh, that's just a painting I did. That's based off of the poster that Cat People. And you'll find a lot of even though I do a lot of work for the Laugh-O-Gram Studios, that's the Walt Disney Studios in Kansas. I do a lot of T-shirt designs and souvenir prints for the theme parks. Those are stuff I sell at cons. I kind of try to keep all my website stuff as stuff that I own. So
Okay, I got a question.
Yes.
You just said you do stuff for Disney, like for art for just like what Topper Helmers does. Art for the entertainment, for like the rides where you got all the art all over.
Okay, right. Yeah. I don't work on the films at all. People are like, "Oh, you created Leo and Stitch." Like, I didn't create Leo and Stitch. But like I said, I do a Kleenex box design for them, or I'll do a T-shirt design or print for them. Not a problem. So, like I said, creative parts. That's the thing with freelance, and when you're doing freelance characters, like you're drawing Batman or you're doing Archie, you are pretty much playing with other people's toys. It's their characters, it's their designs, it's what they got to say, and you got to answer to an editor. So if you're like, "Hey, I'm drawing Batman with an extra fin," you got to take it out because that editor says you got to take it out. Oh, but it makes more sense if it doesn't. Doesn't matter. It's their characters, it's their toys. So
my question, though,
a lot of freelance stuff, it's kind of like swimming in a pool. You go there, it's very relaxing, it's nice, it's refreshing, but you can't live there. You have to go back and do your own stuff. So a lot of people find out that when you're doing the freelancing stuff, you get bogged down, you get overworked, you get rushed. Okay, might not be your bag. You can always go back and do your own thing, which is what I did with the Troll Arts.
My question is, I just met somebody else who does theme park art design. And I was wondering if you might know him, because he does for Disney, he does for, a bunch of different people. His name's Topper Helmers.
I've heard of him.
Yeah, he's also out of that area where you guys are.
Is he in the Minnesota area?
No, he's right there somewhere where you guys are at.
Chicago. Okay. I've probably ran into him at many shows.
I just met him recently.
I saw him in one of your ad things. You saw. You're right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I just met him recently and found out all this. He actually did murals at the Lincoln Library and all kinds.
Okay. Right. Okay. I honestly have not met him, but I've known. But you know what? You'll do these Comic-Cons, and you'll see the same people every year, and you'll have the exact same conversation for like the last 5 years. Hey, you having a good show? Yeah, I'm having a good show. Hey, are you going to do this show? Yeah, I'm going to do that show. Hey, we'll see you at the next show. See you at the next show. And that's the only conversation you'll have with this guy. But it'll be the same one you'll have over and over and over again. So, like I said, I've probably met him many times. I will look forward to meeting him.
It's just kind of cool because I've met two people that do that, like in the last month, and I never met anybody before who did that kind of work.
Oh,
so
there again, when you're growing up and you're a kid and you're 10 and 12 years old, you're like, who does this stuff? Who draws comic books? Who draws Mickey Mouse on a Kleenex box? Who does this stuff? There are actual artists, and like I said, artists, there's pencilers, there's inkers, there's colorists. That's just to get one piece done. It's amazing how many people got their hands in the pie, more or less. And
Charles, you brought him up.
Don't get me wrong, it's very, very refreshing to go and dip into that pool every now and then, that freelance. But like I said, my hey, who's that? There he is. That's Crumb. That's Crumb, right?
Yep, that's Crumb.
Okay, all right.
He's an internet troll.
Of course he is. All right.
That's his actual designation, is an internet troll.
Okay.
His powers are all based on the internet, everything. Okay, he's just he's a troll. Right?
Okay. My troll arts, Harry, Larry, and Jerry, is a slapstick comedy adventure about love, life, and faith.
There you go.
So, like I said, there's over 30 issues out there, and hopefully there'll be 33 coming out in the near future.
Yes.
Can you pull up some Troll Lord art?
I'm going to show this real quick, and then I will try to find some Troll Lord art.
Just back it already.
Wow.
All right, where would I find Troll Lord Art at? Where will I find
You got to Google it, I guess.
Here? Oh, look, I'm gonna run through this screenshot, this slideshow real quick.
I don't think I have any about Troll Art stuff on there.
No, you don't. Which I thought was very strange. I mean,
That is well. I got my death character on there. Well, like I said, I'm the Troll Lords. The Troll Lords. Oh, there's a great piece. The Troll Lords are still there. They're still with me. I'm still very much connected with them. I'm hopefully, if and when the Death book comes out, I can get a reprint book or an omnibus of like the first 15 issues, or maybe the Kamiko issues or the Apple issues, into one big book, one big volume, and that way everybody can have it. Because that stuff right now, people are like, hey, I'm missing issue 4, and I'm like, man, I got a whole basement full of issue 4s. I got to get to them though. That's going to be the problem,
Yeah. So one thing that you go is to rebuild your site with a store, a more aggressive store. So any back issues you have, you can sell them and just ship them out.
Wow, that's a great idea. That sounds great. That sounds very wonderful. And I don't mean to be very discouraged, but anytime that you're going to take away from me working, hey, look at all those Troll Lords.
No. You should team up with a comic shop, and they do all the fulfillment.
Drawing table, so I can go mail issue 12 of Troll Lords. So if somebody else wants to take care of that, okay. Like I said, I got people taking care of the website for me.
A local comic shop you can go to.
Facebook. I'm also on something called Twitter and Instagram. And now it looks like I'm on something called Comics Artist Hour.
Yeah. Yeah. We enjoy helping you, Scott. You're a good guy. You and Doug Rice seem to be
Like I said, I try to be. I mean, I know at conventions I get a little surly. I get a little bogged down sometimes, and I try to be very presentable. And I try to remember what it's like to be that 12-year-old or that 14-year-old coming up to a table and going, "Can I get your autograph?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'd be happy to do that for you." And they're like, "Well, what do you charge for that?" And I'm like, "No, you bought the product. That should be enough for me." Now, I got trouble with Neil Adams, of all people.
Oh, no.
He came up to me and is like, "Hey, you're making me look bad." And I'm like, wait, hold on here. How is Scott Peterstadt making Neil Adams look bad? He goes, you're not charging for your autograph. And I'm like, Neil, give me a break here. You are a legend. I would wait in line to get your autograph and pay to get your autograph because your autograph is worth something to that. Me, I'm just trying to make my fans happy. So yeah. Neil, I'm still not charging for my autograph. You got to deal with that, sir.
Yeah. they got to be cousins at least.
Oh my gosh! Look at how the three are terrified of him picking his nose because they hate boogers. Boogers to them is like water to the witch of the wicked witch of the west.
This was the very first ever drawing of Crom right here.
Ha!
Okay.
Wow.
He was part of the logo for the Facebook group.
Okay.
And he took on a life of his own. Okay.
You know what? When we were doing the Troll Lords and people come up to me and go, "Hey, they're very reminiscent of the Three Stooges." I'm like, well, what are you talking about? Where are you getting that from? Like I said, I was very influenced with Cerebus when he was doing the Lord Julius stuff and the Marx Brothers stuff. And Elrod being the Foghorn Leghorn had me laughing out loud reading comic books. And I wanted to capture that in my own version. So that's, like I said, they do take on a life of their own.
We got a question from a subjective perspective. He's wondering, why did the popularity of comics drop in the 90s? And is it starting to come back? What is your opinion on that, Scott? What caused the great comic book crash of the 90s?
I think it was just that the material was just run its course. Like I said, you were getting the same stuff over and over and over again, and people were looking at movies. Like I said, there was Batman movies, and people were looking at that going, "Wow, Batman movie made $28,000 million. Why does the comic book suck?" Because people were going to the movies going, "Wow, this is great. This is a comic book. I'm going to go to my local comic book store and buy every Batman issue I can get." And you would buy that Batman issue and go, "Oh, this doesn't look like the movie I saw. This is a bunch of, I don't get it." Was that it wasn't matching what the excitement that you were getting with the movies. And I think a lot of that is kind of what's going on nowadays, is that you get fatigued with the superhero stuff. I mean, Marvel's doing, what, 4 or 5 movies a year? Okay, plus you had to see the TV shows to understand the movies. That's enough, guys. I mean, seriously.
That was horrible was that they were printing so many copies of everything.
Yeah.
Okay, like people still find boxes of X-Force #1.
Yeah,
boxes of them. Okay, people still find boxes of them. You know.
Well, you were also getting into the multi-covers.
Yeah, and that was I was going to say.
And it was like, oh, I get the Alex Ross cover if I buy 50 of these other covers just to get the Alex Ross cover. So it's like your numbers aren't reflecting the talent that went into it, and that's why when people went home, they're like, "I just got 49 issues of something I don't want, just to get the."
That's also how that they kind of screwed a lot of the store owners, because the store owners had to buy 50 copies of something to get the one.
Tough on them. I know,
right? And then, what if those 4 other 50 copies don't sell? But Marvel still counts them as sales because they went to a comic store. See, so they were messing with the sales numbers back then too. And Diamond was doing this. Ooh, I hate Diamond. Well, I'm gonna get out of here. I'm on a rant. You guys keep talking.
That's the bad part about comics is that it's not just the kid going to the store, plopping out his 25 cents, buying an issue of whatever, reading it, trading it with his buddies, and then they're able to read it. We beat the crap out of our comics. My X-Men 94, it does have its cover on it, but it's hinged on there. I mean, because we read our stuff, we tore through the stuff, we traded it with our friends. Number two, I didn't know there was a #1. Oh, we gotta get to #2. And you would collect them and trade them with people, and that's how these people get all beaten up and damaged. Now you put them in a plastic case, can't open them anymore. So I'm like, no. Well, what's the what's the fun of that? And you can't
now the scam that turned out to be the standard.
Yeah.
Okay. Because grading, I don't care if it's wrapped in plastic or not. If it's in the same condition as my raw one over there in my box, it's worth the same amount. Okay. Yeah. Grading was a scam. They was like, oh, we're gonna wrap these new books in plastic and they're worth more now. No. Now, older books, I understand. You wrap it in plastic to preserve an older, beautiful book. Okay, I get that. But when they started selling grading as the standard for value on a comic, it's like, no, the comic has value all by itself. It doesn't need the plastic case. But people bought into the scam, and they bought into it with trading cards first. It happened with baseball cards first. And people bought into it, so it naturally moved into comics. But it was a scam from the beginning, guys.
Wow.
Pay me and I'll wrap your book in plastic and it'll be worth way more.
Yeah, my experience for the crash, the Great Comic Book Crash, was Marvel went exclusive with Diamond Comics, and that hurt all of the distributors, because back then, when you had 11 distributors,
Yeah.
it was very easy to get to the 300 or 3,000 mark just by attrition, because you have 11 sources to get out there. And often these smaller distributors would help you. When I was doing Kremen, I did get up to 3,000. Unfortunately, and I got a Diamond story that killed Kremen. They destroyed my book. But
that makes me mad. Don't get me started.
Oh yeah. But I'll get to that in a moment. But then
They still make me mad.
all these other companies started to collapse. So Capital started buying out all these other smaller distributors because they had DC. It was basically Marvel versus DC. Then somehow Diamond made a deal with DC, and then that caused a collapse of Capital. And then Diamond was the only one. Now, the way that they killed my book was for issue 4. And I actually had school teachers buy a book and showing it off, and they liked the fact that I had medical explanations when damage happened to the main hero, Kremen, with his computer gen thing. But they replaced my ad with artwork from Faust, basically cutting a phallus, and they described my book as pornographic, as sexual situation. That killed all my sales. So, I complained to Diamond. It's like, what the hell? Why did you do this? And I looked at the Faust ad, and everything with the Faust ad was fine. So they didn't do a swap. So I don't know if it was intentional sabotage or complete gross negligence, but my book and numbers were destroyed. And
you can look at this footage 5 years ago, and Diamond ruined everything for everybody when they told all the we're not going to deliver anything, and then Marvel and DC said pencils down. Now that was awesome for indie comic creators.
Yeah,
crowdfunding blew up. It was great but it was horrible for the comic store owners and the industry as a whole. And Diamond did that. Diamond did that. Nobody else.
It's like, oh, come to us. We'll fulfill your Kickstarters. Oh, yes, because they don't like, it's like Diamond had its time and they were cute. God bless them. But you know what? It's over. There's other ways to fulfill. There are other ways. And Kickstarter now is the largest distributor of comics in the world, or the largest source in the world to get comics. Speaking of comics, talk about your latest book about death and what's going on and whatnot. We're excited.
Can you get that? Can you get that? See that? Anyhow, it's a work in progress, but I've been working on this book forever, and it's a very personal book. It's probably as close to a like I said, my life story, more or less, and it's death dealing with marriage.
Wow.
And I originally planned it to be a 3-issue story in color, and it took a life of its own. It's now over 100-page graphic novel, if you want to do that. And I included the death dreams. That it was something that Paul and I did. I would say like 20 years ago. So we're going to introduce the characters with the death dreams, and then we're going to do all new stuff, guys. With Corey Karani, who is a phenomenal artist. This guy, I came to him. I'm like, Corey, I really need somebody to help ink this stuff. And he goes, okay, but here's the thing. You can't pressure me. I got a job. I got a wife. I got a kid. I'll make time when I make time. And he turned this thing around. record time. I mean, unbelievable. And the art literally leaps off the pages. There isn't a drop of whiteout on any of the original art. And there again, I'm the old school guy. We're doing everything. I'm penciling it. I give it to him to ink. We brought it over to Chuck Malley, who is the letterer. And then COVID happened. And Scott sat there one fine afternoon for about a couple of months, and we colored it. And so, like I said, now it's at the. I mean, and this is why they're like, hey, what have you been working on lately? This is what I've been working on, and I was afraid to mention it before it was done. I mean, I wanted everything to be finished with this thing. I wanted the T's to be crossed and the I's to be dotted as much as I can before I even breathe the word of the thing. And now it's finished. Got Art Baltazar to write a lovely introduction. And Alex Ross. Yeah, that Alex Ross guy I talked about. He did the cover. And so if this, like I say, if this thing goes well, we'll do a reprint book of just the Troll Lord stuff on Alex Ross cover. So I'll keep you posted as much as I can. Look for it updated, I guess, on my Facebook or
No. What I do is promotion.
Charles is helping me out with, and of course,
what I do is promotion, my friend.
Oh, my website. Yeah, look at any of those 3 things for updates, and definitely we got to have this. I mean, this has been burning in me for years. I've got to get it done. So,
it's like an STD.
Hell or high water, we're gonna find the Troll Lords and my death character in print again that you can hold in your hand, kids. Yes, you can go and hold it in your hands, and you can bring it up to me at a Comic-Con, and I will not charge you for signing.
I need you to understand, though, this isn't just like a talk show. This whole network is a promotional.
We're a syndicate.
Oh, see, I don't know that.
That's what I'm saying. Our whole network
okay.
is for promoting.
All right. See, news to I got my friend Charles there and said, "Hey, come and do my show, and you can talk about your Troll Lord thing." I'm like, "What's not done yet?" No, but you can start promoting it. It's not done yet, but you can start promoting it. All right, it's done. Okay.
This is what we do.
I will be back, hopefully, if you allow me, when it's printed, and I can hold a copy in my hand and say, "Hey, go out and buy this."
Are you going to? Do you plan on crowdfunding it through Kickstarter?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. See, look, we do launch parties for Kickstarter campaigns where we come out for an hour before you launch. We get people watching the show. We get people excited. Then you push the button and some people buy it. See, we do that live.
Buying comics.
This is what I'm saying. You know, you got to keep me in the loop of what you're doing, and then I can help.
I'll make sure that pops. I'll make sure that from one troll to another.
If you want to do a Crom Troll or crossover, I know the guy that can do that for you.
Oh, dude, we can do that too. We can do that,
and I'll be happy to write the story.
Well, because he's an internet troll, he is multi-dimensional. He has access to everybody's files in all their comics, and he can self-insert himself whenever he wants. Just remember that.
Boy, that sounds like a Pornhub story.
My trolls don't have cell phones. That's how outdated they are. Yeah.
Yeah, but see, it's not your trolls, it's you. You send your files to the printer. Well, now they're on the internet, and now he's got them. See, that's how that works. See,
well, I'm going in kicking and screaming. You understand that, right? I mean, I'm like, internet bad, drawing good. Yeah.
See, the fun thing about Crom is he's not malicious. He's not like looking for the nuke codes to blow us up. We're his entertainment.
What's wrong with him?
We are his entertainment. Okay, he likes messing with us and watching what happens. You see how we react and stuff. So he's not malicious. He's mischievous. See what I'm saying?
I could see one of Scott's trolls saying, "Boy, Crom must be pretty old." Yeah, I know. Look at the blue hair. Yeah, he's a blue hair.
Well, going back to those Troll Lord things, our first 3 issues dealt with the suicide attempt by our major character, Kelly. And while it was Scott and Paul drawing this stuff in their studios, it wasn't until it got out that we got fan letters from people, and they're like, "Hey, what are you doing with your characters?" And I'm like, "Oh, well, we're just trying to tell a story." I'm like, "Wow, man, you really helped me out through a very dark time of my life. I was ready to, do the Deep Six," and we're like, "Wow." And we were touching people from, it wasn't just Scott and Paul's basement, it was the world. And we were getting fan letters from Norway. We were getting fan letters from Australia. How did Australia get our comic? I don't know, but we got a fan letter from them. And it was all the same amount of people like, "Hey, we really enjoyed your book. It's and that was the thing about the Troll Arts, is that it's serious with the themes, but it's wacky for kids. So it's kids of all ages can get into it. So you can get a pie fight with the Troll Lords, and yet turn around and talk about, like I said, suicide or a bombing attempt or something serious. That was kind of our balance when we were doing the Troll Lords.
I'm gonna get out of here. You guys got about 28 more minutes if you want. You can have about another 28 minutes, and then I got to get out the way for Doc's show. But I'm gonna get out the way and let you guys, do your thing.
Yeah, I was going to wrap it up at 11 because I do have a business I got to get to.
Oh, all right, whatever you want to do.
I got nothing going on, so I'll see you guys later.
But if the last couple of questions that I have, convention, you've done a lot of conventions. For the new guys or gals or others who have decided to do conventions, what is some convention etiquette that you can describe, and how do you become a guest as compared to a paying artist compared to a vendor? What is really the differences with that?
That's the tough nail there, guys. It is. I've been doing this for 40 years. So some shows are like, "Hey, Scott Peterson's doing San Diego." Not a problem, because he does it every year. Or Scott Peterson does Fan Expo Chicago. Not a problem, because he does it every year. Scott Peterson still has to pay C2E2 to get his foot in the door. Okay, now you're talking $450 plus taxes. You're talking close to $500 just to get your foot in the door for a 3-day weekend. Okay, that plus the printing costs and everything else. And so I will literally be sitting at tables, and I'll get parents, like moms, coming up to me like, "How do you do it?" I'm like, "Well, how do I do what?" And like, "Well, you seem to have a nice flow. You have a nice crowd. I just got Junior here to buy his first table, and nobody's buying any of his stuff." And I'm like, well, first of all, what is Junior doing? "Oh, he likes anime." Not saying that's a bad thing, but if you walk up and down the aisles of a Comic-Con, you'll find 50 people drawing the exact same thing. What is your thing? What is the thing that's different than you? Why am I spending $15 on your print when I should spend $10 that the guy next to you print? You know what I mean? So unless you're bringing something new to the table, however, it is a way to get your feet wet, or your baptism of fire. Is you have to then interact with people. You have to sit there, and you're there to sell a product as much as, and it's going to be brutal, because I'm out there we are both fighting over that dwindling piece of pie. So I'm sitting there, "Hey, I want $20 from you," when you're going to give $15 to my buddy Charles. No, you're coming over here and you're spending money at my table. So it's very brutal. And if you can make friends and allies at a show, great. God bless you. Like I said, I try to be very open, very hospitable to you. I'll tell you what it's like, but it might not be for everybody. And like I was telling the parent, I'm like, it's tough when you have to pay $350 or $380 just to get in the building. Yeah, and if you're selling prints for $10 and you sell 3 or 4 prints, you ain't making it that weekend. So it's going to be a long haul, and that's just me. I mean, and there again, I'm not the computer guy. You guys have the access to the internet. You have your websites and you have your GoFundMe's. That's something I'm learning. That's something that I never had to do before. So I'm kind of getting, like I said, held by the hand in a lot of this stuff too. Does that help?
Okay. That's very good. What are some etiquette or behavior that you should not do at a con? Obviously,
Well,
there's some that are just, but
like I said, even though it's brutal and you're competing for that same dollar, you got to be friendly to your neighbors. You might be working on something that took you 20 years just to draw this beautiful drawing, and you're competing with somebody next to you that's selling taffy or selling a chocolate bar or selling leather goods or some sort of something that they bought from another country as not presenting it as their own. You still got to treat them with respect, and that's the thing, guys. We are all in this together. Is that, hey, if I'm sitting here for 4 hours, I got to go to the bathroom. So can you watch my table for me? And I'll tell them, listen, seriously, if anything catches on fire, let it burn. I'll be right back. But seriously, just don't let things get stolen. Keep an eye out for your fellow person, because people are relentless sometimes. They'll say, hey, look, here's a free portfolio. They don't care what's in it. They're just going to take away and walk around with it. Like I said, that's just me trying to be the best human being I can at a Comic-Con. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And like I said, if you can, get close to your buddies who are doing the same show and talk to them. Say, hey, what's selling at your table? Because I'm not selling anything over here. Oh, you're selling Batman? Oh, I'm not selling any Batmans. I'm selling Little Mermaids over here. Okay, so you get to talk to each other and find out what's working and what's not working, kind of thing. Or you sit there like, hey, I'm fresh out of Poison Ivy. Go see Corey. He's got a beautiful Poison Ivy print. He's right around the table over there. So you kind of help people that way too.
Yeah, and one of my attitudes when I'm at a convention is, if I don't make the sale, I want the ones next to me to make the sale. And if we all have that attitude, we almost become the synergy of fun. Where it's like, oh, you know what? Check out Scott's stuff. I don't have it, but Scott definitely has something that you might like. And you might, you like Giant Kaiju Cat. I don't have any Giant Kaiju Cat, but check out Charles. And if nothing else, he's hysterical and he has ice. Or check out Les Garner. He may be brooding when he looks up to you, and you might want to run away, but at the same time, he's a friendly guy, and you'll love his work. And when we're all synergizing together, it makes the con happier for the fan, makes it more fun for us, and usually, people enjoy giving.
Well, but that's the thing too. When you're at a Comic-Con, you're exposed to everything. You got people that are into manga. You got people that are into anime. You got people that are into Godzilla. You got people that are into superheroes. You got people that are not into superheroes. You got people that are into Pride stuff. You got people that are not into Pride stuff. You got this. You got that. The Comic-Con is if you're buying something, you walk up and you obviously everything's all glitter and sparkly, and it's things that catch your eye. But take the time to walk around the show once or twice and find out, oh, I like Charles' table. I'm gonna go back to G23 and check out his stuff when I'm done with this stuff. That way you get a more broad idea of what's out there and who's promoting their stuff.
Yes.
What you doing?
Talking to the cool Mark Hodges of
you're multitasking.
So I'm typing furiously.
Okay.
What was
I'm
one
drinking.
of your
Oh, this is water.
yeah, you have the second one too. What was one of the best Comic Cons you ever did? Like the glory story. Oh my gosh, this is amazing.
I'll tell you something. San Diego, as much as everybody's like, oh man, it's San Diego, it is San Diego for a reason. And I can't describe it. If you've been to a little show or a Mighty Con or something like that, and you're like, hey, if you think this is big, wait till you see Fan Expo. It's 10 times bigger than that. You go to Fan Expo, you go to C2E2, San Diego is 20 times bigger than that. It is literally wall-to-wall people. It is wall-to-wall art. It's wall-to-wall Hollywood. It's wall-to-wall anything you can possibly imagine. That's how big San Diego is. And that's why it's a 5-day show. And people will say, oh, you just did San Diego. You must have had a great time. You must have seen the palm trees and the beaches and no, I was at a con. I saw the inside of a convention for 5 days. That's how intense it was. It's like when you're not at your table, you're missing sales. And as much as you want to make a lot of, because you have to pay for your hotel. That's another thing too, guys, is when you see these comic creators,
yes,
and not only are they paying for their booth space, they're probably paying for their hotels and their gas or airfare and their meals and everything. So your chances are you're out a grand a lot of times before you step foot in some of these doors. And so yeah, if we seem desperate because we really want to buy your sell your $20 print, it's because we do, because we got to go home and feed the kiddies. Like I said, I would love to sit there and draw all day long for kids. I would love to do that. But like I said, I got to go home and feed the kiddies, and I got to charge you what I got to charge you.
Why would some shows now? Is it primarily some shows just invite you as a guest because of some of the things that you've done, as like to attract more people, or why do shows sometimes pay for artists to be there, where other artists it's like, oh yeah, it costs $100 for a table or $300 for a table. And then you got to pay for your hotel, which should be $150 a night. So now you know after it all adds up, you're at $1,000.
So, like I said, some shows are very creator friendly. Is like I like to say. A lot of the shows are still comic book shows, but a lot of shows are cosplay shows, and a lot of shows are Hollywood shows. And the thing is, the promoters got to make money too. So you gotta think about them too. Is like, well, what's the next hot thing? Is like, oh, cosplay. I better get 50 cosplay people or do a costume contest. Now think about cosplay. Well, I enjoy their shows. I mean, I enjoy their characters and the costumes that they're doing. They're not there to spend money on my. they're there. Yeah. They're, hey, this is my new Captain Atom costume or my new Princess Bride costume or something. They're there to promote their stuff just as I am there to sell you my stuff or let you know about mine. And
Mark says hi, by the way. Continue.
Oh, okay. A lot of these things are, examples. You get the Lord of the Rings crew or people that have starred in the movies. And, of course, they're charging $50, and I'm lowballing. They're probably charging $200, $400 for an autograph or a picture taken with them. And that's great. That's fine. That's dandy. But if I'm spending $400 for an autograph, I don't got $20 to spend on Hillary Barta art or anybody else's stuff. So, like I said, it's give or take right now. A lot of these things. So a lot of these people will come at shows on a Friday, and they're like, I don't have any more money. Like, it's Friday. What are you going to do for 2 days? Well, they're going to walk around for 2 days, and if that's the way they want to enjoy a Comic-Con, that's great and wonderful. But you got to pace yourself on some of this stuff too, guys. So just a word of warning out there if it is your first Comic-Con, like I said, pace yourself. get to see the lay of the land, and go from there. And of course, have fun. I mean, that's the thing about all the. Nobody wants to say, "Hey, I went to a Comic-Con. I had a miserable time. I spent $800. I'm never going again." I don't want to hear that. I want to hear. I went to Comic-Con, and I got a Scott Beaner stamp, and that's hanging on my wall, and I'm going to think about that, and because he personalized it to my cousin Joey, and he was a great guy to meet. That's the review I want to hear. I don't want to hear about, oh yeah, the traffic was bad, parking was miserable, there was no air conditioning, ugh, and we had to pay $50 for a cheeseburger, and yeah, that's gonna happen. But like I said, you take the good with the bad on some of the stuff.
Yes. Okay. That's amazing. That's amazing. Mark says hi to everybody back. So I just wanted to say that. Yeah, I was talking to him about his show to see if we can get in or not. You know, apparently I did talk to him in the past, so I'll have to do some research to catch up on everything so I don't seem like a complete boob. But you know, the thing I love about the shows to me is it's giving back, and you potentially might inspire the young to take our place when the time is appropriate. Because as we get older, we need fresh blood to come in to go through the hells that we go through, and hopefully maybe not as badly because we've given them armament to protect themselves. You know, for example, I worked with somebody for 5 years on developing a property. Then Apple started serious talks. And then magically, the business partner gave me an illusory contract. And the illusory contract basically said, give him the copyright, and I'll get paid from a third party, the network, after the show airs. So if I had done that, what rights or recourse would I have? 1. 2, how would I get paid? 3, how would I enforce getting paid? Because I don't have a contract with the third party. They don't have to pay me. And if I assigned over all my copyright, I don't own the property. So I have nothing. And so I had to dissolve that relationship. And you know, what have been some of the more spooky things that you've had to deal with?
Well, let me make a point when you said about bringing in new blood. Okay, there again, 40 years ago, I was getting a John Byrne sketch for $10.
Right.
Okay, and that, wow, that was something. Nowadays, you can't go up to an artist while it's plopping down $100, $200 to get a head sketch from some of these people. And some of these people are charging thousands of dollars, and I'm sitting there going, what kid has $1,000 to blow on a Captain America sketch?
Yeah,
I don't know. I'd like to meet that kid because like I said, so it's kind of hard that we are, and like we were going on before about the collectability of some of these things. You're killing the new market. Like I said, if you're charging $500 for a 9.8 graded comic book that nobody can open up and read, what 12-year-old has that to go spend on that, to go get that copy that they can't read? You know, it's like you're literally, sad to say, that's what you're doing. You're killing your market. So there are some artists that still go out there and they'll sign for free. And don't get me wrong, Neil Adams is a bargain, or was a bargain, for whatever he was signing, because he would do a little doodle on it. Where are you going to get a Neil Adams Batman head sketch for $50 or $100 nowadays? You know, like I said,
especially now, it'd be very tough to have Neil
now. But so if you get an opportunity to meet some of these, like I saw Bill Sienkiewicz, I want to say it was 2 years ago, he was doing a museum tour. And I've known Bill for years, and I've got my Bill Sienkiewicz sketch, but I waited in line to go say hi to him and get my I think it was my Jimi Hendrix book signed.
That's awesome.
And he was happy to do it. It was free. And I'm sitting there going, now I could have paid, somebody else to go get that for me, and I could have gone wait at a Comic-Con and gotten it done. But it would have meant the same as meeting the artist, getting it signed, personalized to me. I can't turn around and sell it because it's got my name on it. But like I said, that is something I'm going to treasure till I finally kick off this mortal coil.
Oh wow, that's amazing. Well, we are going to work to get Troll Lord into reality. Also, there have been times which has been interesting that I've been invited to cons, and I tell them that I'm not really that I don't have, quote, the famous work, unquote, don't have the 20, 50,000 units, things like that. And I've had some say, well, we love how zany you are, and can you moderate some of our panels, because boom, you got
so it's like a trade-off. Okay.
Yeah. And there have been some times too that I've been invited to a con and asked to do a poster for the con, and then we have a profit dealing share where they sell the posters and they give me X amount, and sometimes that has been very, very helpful. And my suggestion to some of the young is, if you got the right style, the right quality, or the right fan base, maybe negotiate with the promoter to have some of your expenses covered or offset by making a poster or designing the badges or other things, and also working to try to do panels so you can talk a bit about the past, what you do, what you like, what you're scared of, maybe. Like Scott Bieterstedt is scared of headless chickens running at him. Oh,
he is.
I made that.
He didn't make that up.
Yeah. Yes. So.
Whatever gets your foot in the door to promote yourself, and like I said, and that's half of the battle. Trust me. You might think I'm very talkative and I'm pretty easy to go along with. Wasn't always like this, guys. It took 40 years of me sitting there talking to people and looking up at people and saying, "Hey, welcome to my table. What can I do for you?" That kind of thing. Because people are like, "Oh, you're talking to me? I'm nobody." No, you're important. You paid money, or you gave up your Saturday afternoon to come see me at a Comic-Con. Let's do something. Let's interact here. So I appreciate everybody that comes up to my table. I'm happy to do whatever I can. But like I said, I got to charge you to make costs. And a lot of that was, I'm sorry to say, it was COVID. I mean, I was going great, had money in the bank, everything is doing fine, everything's going great. And then COVID happened. And at first it was like, if it's just a couple of weeks and I miss out on a Kansas show or a New Orleans show, not a problem. It was a couple of years. And that wiped out my savings. And I wasn't the only one in the boat. All my other artists are like, "Hey, what's going on here? Because we can't do any shows. We can't sell anything. What are we going to do?" And now, like I said, thankfully, it was a time for me to reset, work on the Troller stuff again, and something positive came out of it. But I know a lot of my friends were devastated. I mean, they wiped them out, more or less. And it wasn't just financially; it was the interaction, because we used to see each other at shows. And now it's like, "Hey, whatever happened to Bob? Oh, you hear about Bob? He can't do shows anymore because COVID happened." And I'm like, wow, man. So, like I said, if you get out there, show your face to as many people as you can, and be patient. I mean, like I said, I might have seen you at 40 different shows. I don't know. I never said hi to you kind of thing. And
You
so,
still don't say hi to me.
hey, we're going to go bowling afterwards. I'm going to go, is that something we used to do? Because we're in Detroit. What else are we going to do? Kind of thing.
Yeah,
And
right.
it's like,
Detroit is so much fun. There have been some great shows in Detroit. There have been like all over this country. There have been amazing shows, and sometimes I like the small shows because you might have a fan that comes up and say, "Why have you come to our small town?" And my thought is because I can, and I'm grateful that you've come to take the time just to say hi to me, and if you get something, that's a bonus. But, the fact that, you've come here to meet your fans, to enjoy the dream, and, and to basically make something more tangible and relatable. I just so enjoy that.
You got a message from Pops here saying time to wrap up.
Okay. Yes. Well,
I don't know.
everyone.
I don't know what your kids mean by that.
Yeah. Everyone, I want to thank you all. This has been an honor and a privilege. But Pops, if you could put up the ending ads, I'd be grateful, and we'll all say goodbye. Any last words, Great Scott, for the audience?
No, to be continued. Is the best thing. I mean, even though my troll art, I always wanted to do single issues that meant something. This is one of those. Hey, you're gonna have to tune in later, guys. Okay.
Ancient evil, billions of years old, wages war on the universe. Entire star systems are vanishing without a trace, leaving devastation in their wake. Nexus, the intergalactic guardian of lost souls, must stop the unnameable terror and its expanding scourge of destruction. The totality of everything in existence will collapse upon itself if he fails. With the fate of the cosmos in the balance, Nexus must confront his most dangerous adversary yet. Can he save creation from total and certain destruction, or will darkness reign supreme? Find out in Nexus Scourge, the all-new epic sci-fi adventure from Eisner-winning co-creator Mike Baron, exploding with Kelsey Shannon's dynamic artwork. Available now at baroncomics.com.
Critical Blast Logistics, getting it done, getting it there. Critical Blast Logistics, getting it done, getting it there.
How do you end this thing? How do you put the where's the brakes on this bus? I forgot.
Jazz hands. Jazz hands are
Have a good night.